That can't go in the video.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Hello and welcome to a special... Right at the start, huh?
I'd already planned it. I've been thinking about that.
Hello and welcome to a special Kia Magna episode. I'm Psycho, and this segment I'm going to dub Psycho Babble. If you clicked on the title of this video, looking for a historical... If you clicked on the video because of this title, looking for an historical video, I'm sorry to disappoint. I'll briefly cover history crossbow usage, but it's opinionated, and I won't source myself. This is an actual video. This video is actually about sport boffers, specifically crossbow-based sports boffers, and the controversy that I was involved in. Rest assured, however, I will be shot in the face repeatedly throughout this recording.
I'll do it, Mom. He's my dog.
Because I'm blonde. To understand how the boffer works in our games, one must understand how it worked in history. Unfortunately, there's a lot we don't know about that. We know crossbows have existed since, like, classical antiquity, but I don't really know how they were used. Probably like bows, because they seem to be more bow-sized back then. my bandana's gonna come off. They seem more bow-sized back then. They're just put on the end of a bit of wood. Most of what we know about crossbows being used is from medieval times. Oh, don't shoot, you might miss. God forbid. Oh, that's right. I got front and back. Which makes sense to me. I think that technology needed to be there first to make them cheap and viable. Like, I imagine the first crossbows were just bows placed on their side with the intention of overcoming the major downside to the bow, which is training. It takes years to get talented and strong enough to wield a really strong bow. But if you can store that moment when an archer is at full draw and give it to a person with a decent-ish eye, you can spend time training that guy to be a soldier instead of an archer. But wooden prods don't really store more power than bows, so why spend the time making a crossbow when bows are so much cheaper? So until metal prods came around, crossbows were kind of not strong enough to matter for war. And then that changed. Good. So, how were they used? Again, we don't know that much. Personally, I don't think that they were used like bows. Because of their design, crossbows need to have an insane sounding amount of poundage to begin to compare to that of war bows of the Middle Ages. This is because crossbows are mechanically weaker than bows. You see, crossbows tend to have like 7 or 10 inches to impart the force of their prod into their bolt.
Me too.
Where a bow can have 20 to 28 inches to do the same. We'll explore this concept of power stroke later, but a 120-pound crossbow isn't nearly as strong as a 120-pound longbow. Nowhere near. So this is the reason I believe crossbowmen tended to not take up the same space as bowmen. I think that they got a lot closer in open battlefields and did much of their damage at closer ranges during sieges as well. The most famous of defeats suffered by crossbowmen during a battle.
Figure the fuck out.
Figure it the fuck out. The most famous of defeats suffered by crossbowmen during a battle, I think, shows this. The Genoese crossbowmen during the Battle of Cressy in 1346 were slaughtered because they took to seem what we think is their usual position in front of the army, but they were forced to not bring most of their pavis. That's the word. Their big ass shields.
Knock a little second.
It's maybe working. That, and I think their big shields were also kind of proves that they like to get close. Like, why have big shields if you're only shooting from safe positions? This leads to... You missed. I shouldn't brag. I shouldn't brag. He's gonna get mean about it. He's gonna get away. He's gonna be like, "Whoa, maybe 5 feet is this length."
Oh, I put the cones out a little too far.
This leads to sport boffer usage. Yay. In our competitive LARP sphere, crossbows are usually about half as strong as bows.
There we go. That's what I've been going for.
You dick. Ugh.
Show that beautiful hair off.
Yeah. Now who's got good aim? This is for the good reason that in our competitive LARP sphere, crossbows are usually about half as strong as bows. This is for the very good reason that we mandate that bows half draw their allotted length to around 20 feet to keep things safe. Crossbows cannot half draw, so we keep them at half strength. This mimics history a little bit, so I like it. So crossbows fill a niche where bows can reliably be shot. Eye shots hurt. Where bows can reliably be shot with accuracy from beyond 20 feet, crossbows can't. The shaft does less to stabilize our shots because they're shorter. Real bolts don't seem to have this problem because we have huge-ass arrowheads. So the natural response to having less power and accuracy is to fill the niche that bows don't. We get closer. And all that leads into the main focus of this video, which is Belegarth and crossbows. For a long time, Belegarth didn't really have crossbowmen, where other buffer sport games did. This is because they had a 15-pound limit, and that they also had to be able to shoot normal arrows, not bolts. So Belegarth already has a documented history practically banning crossbows for the reason of, I don't fucking know. I guess they just don't like them. Well, time went by and the rules changed. 450 inch-pounds, exclusive ammo, no minimum engagement distance, beyond the length of the bolt. Now, all was well with that. And then I posted a video where I shot someone in the eye. Okay. So my short and my TikTok advertising the Wolfpack opener video, using the intro of that video that kicked off the reactionary movement to increase testing scrutiny of bolts. That was the wrong... Shoot me. Loser. That was the wrong tone for that. My short and TikTok advertising the Wolfpack opener video, using the intro of that video, kicked off a reactionary movement to increase testing scrutiny of bolts. Whew. The testing scrutiny was to be increased to an improbable test to pass, effectively attempting to ban the weapon via an impossible standard like Belegarth has proven to already have done before. You see, testing arrows and bolts involves shooting someone in the back from just past what is normally safe to see if they hurt too bad after a visual inspection. The rule they changed for bolts is that instead of testing at 10 feet, they now test at 5 feet.
It's where we're shooting from.
It's where we're shooting from. You may think that it's the pain that would make the bolts fail more often, but no. You see, projectiles also can't bounce back past the player that shot them. That's well past 7 feet. You see, projectiles... I already said that. You can imagine that 5 feet of bounce back is kind of hard to avoid when you're shooting a full-power crossbow from 5 feet away. Not impossible, mind. My bolts passed with the standard at the last event I went to, but every bolt landed at my feet. A stricter tester using the shield method instead of the back will see the bolts fired from my crossbow bounce back about 7 to 10 feet usually. Basically, if a weapon checker decides they don't want to use crossbows at their event, all bolts will fail. That got some distance. That clunk too. That usually doesn't happen when I shoot people. It happens occasionally, but not all the time. And I feel like from 5 feet, it's happening way more often where the tail of the bow, the shaft is hitting me.
Like it's whipping around?
Yeah, because we're shooting so fast, there's no time for it to
Yeah, slow down.
Slow down and stabilize. Yeah. This is an inappropriate response to what was thought to be a weapon testing failure. That my bolts couldn't have been tested safely enough that a failing bolt made it to the field. These were relatively new Gore-Tex arrowheads, and I tested my own equipment before going to Wolfpack. I also had my older arrows fail on back at the event, and they've been retired since. These bugs are worse than the arrows.
I thought the arrows would keep the bugs off.
Honestly, I thought so too. We don't have this kind of reaction to red users' clipping eyes. We don't demand stricter testing rules when a weapon. We didn't demand stricter testing rules when a weapon failed at Olympics the other year and gave my friend a scar on her eyebrow. Sorry, I anticipated that, and that made it not clip off my dome. I dodged it a little bit. I felt that. At Wolfpack, there were bloody noses, faces, and what had to be a minor concussion because that dude fell over like he didn't know what was going on. Some of those injuries that were featured in that video, I did not inflict, and no one got up in arms about the safety standards around the weapons that inflicted them. And this is serious. Fact is, I shot someone in the eye, and they complained about my bolts. They wanted them retested. I had them retested. Even if I was deliberately negligent and I didn't have them retested, or I deliberately brought failing equipment to the field, the proper response is to ban me, or help ban the weapon tester. Not damn near make the testing standard contingent on whether or not someone's biased for or against crossbows. Shoot me. Thank you. There are other reasons this is a bad ruling. It's unsafe for the testers who are being deliberately close to a situation where excessive bounce back is an encouraged expectation by the rules written. Like, being so close to the back, that guarantees the hit is harder too, making it harder to determine if the bolt is actually safe or not. Especially compared to arrows. Speaking of which, it takes testing for bolts out of line with testing for arrows in terms of safety. Bows are twice as strong as crossbows. Why are they being tested at 15 feet? If testing standards were being questioned, why not reduce the requirements for arrows as well? It's the same technology on a heavier shaft shot from a stronger source. Or you could even make the standard 7.5 feet, half of 15 feet, and make that standard abundantly clear. Bows, like crossbows, are half as strong as bows. It's crossbows. That hit the tree. I think it's just the 20-year-old bias against crossbows being brought up, justified on behalf of a not uncommon or unexpected minor injury. So fucking what, crybaby? You gonna roll on the floor about it? Is Big Psycho gonna just lay there and bitch, demanding something be done and be dragged off the field, to be dragged off the proverbial field because it hurt my ego too much? Nah. I got a rules proposal that could fix things and actually make the game safer and solidify crossbows into the niche they actually occupy. See, most folks, even the crossbowmen that came up with the revamped rules, didn't think of crossbows as having their own competitive niche. They think of them as bow alternatives. Really, they're like better javelins. They are expensive, higher accuracy, mid-range alternative to javelins. You see, bows are stronger, more accurate, and faster than crossbows. Even at the 15 to 20 foot range, or especially at the 15 to 20 foot range, the bow will always be better. Even at the sub 15 foot range, the bow has a speed advantage. In my nose. Where the crossbow shines is at that sub 15 foot range. It's easier for a crossbowman to move, pop a shot, and get back into cover than an archer. When they're ready to shoot, it's a simple trigger pull. An archer has to perform their whole pulling motion first, on top of needing to awkwardly ensure that they're not overdrawing past that halfway point. This is why I get so many headshots. It's an easier target from 10 feet away than 20 feet, and I shoot quicker. My reload is what's really slow. So, what rules proposal do I offer to support this? I want to make crossbows weaker and stronger. See, I think that the reason folk are upset with crossbows, for the most part, is that they keep getting hit in the face.
Wrong.
And they're getting hit in the face a lot closer than they used to because of crossbows. The most complaints I hear, like personally, are from sub 10-foot shots from guys using pistol crossbows. Could have had a V8. Well, and my crossbow too. I like my 420 inch-pound crossbow is probably the only one being used like competitively. You see, I'm fairly sure I'm the only guy competitively using a 420 inch-pound crossbow. There you go. The rest are 400 plus inch-pound pistol crossbows that have even worse accuracy to my standard because their bolts are tiny. They don't stabilize real well. And because they're cheaper and easier to find, like a lot of people can buy them, so there's kind of a lot of them compared to full power crossbows like that. So if eye shots are something we want to reduce the pain of, while keeping crossbows viable for all types that want to use it, and keep using it in its niche, my solution is very simple. First, I want to create 2 crossbow categories, a light and heavy class of crossbow. The light crossbow would be a sub 15-foot crossbow with a maximum poundage of 350 inch-pounds, marked with a blue strip or striping on the prod. Its bolts would be tested at 5 feet with some forgiveness for bounce back. Woof. You got me right in the area that makes your brain shake. Woof. No, don't apologize. I just wanted to say that. I was like, ugh. So
It's legal, dude.
it is. This is what you can come to expect. This is what the tester got shot in the back and decided, yeah, I think that'd be fine at 5 feet. So I guess I shouldn't feel bad when I do the same on the field. The heavy crossbow would have a maximum pull of 600 inch-pounds and only be shot at excesses of 15 feet. Its bolts would be tested at 10 feet with no forgiveness for bounce back, and it would be designated the heavy crossbow with a red stripe or striping on the prod. So why choose the weights I did? Well, it's based off the 350 inch-pound standard that I would see in dagger here. They seemed not to care so much when I did headshots from close range with that. But, I mean, generally I know that theoretically dagger here has a 420 inch-pound max, but their real ruling is 12-inch draw at a 35-pound max. So what you end up getting with that is, like, it's not always going to have a power stroke that's the full 12 inches. It's usually 10. So, like, I'd be shocked if a dagger here crossbowman has a poundage higher than 350 and still be actually legal. That made far. That's like 70 feet. Yeah, I feel it. So why 600 pounds for the heavy crossbow? That's arbitrary. I admit that. It's mostly because my dagger here legal crossbow shoots about 600 inch pounds, and that's what I can test. Also, it's notably less strong than a max poundage bow, which sits at around like 800 plus max inch pounds, which is good because you'll be shooting it at 5 feet closer. Why the 15-foot range difference? History. Crossbows in the past in Belegarth have been limited to 15-foot minimums before, and I think that Belegarth players, because of that, Belegarth players seem really comfortable with a 15-foot headshot from a stronger crossbow.
That's a good point.
Way to punctuate that point.
Skaters out here.
Yeah. The next change I'd like to make is to limit bolts to crossbows they were designed to be fired from. Yes, this limits crossbow sharing even more, but or crossbow bolt share. Yes, this limits bolt sharing even more, but testing would fit how the bolts were designed to be used, right? The strongest crossbow, like my crossbow won't shoot any pistol crossbow bolt safely. So that's the strongest crossbow in the field almost all the time. It can't. Why would you try to make that? Why would that be the standard? It can't shoot crossbow bolts that have 8-inch. It's just whatever. The last thing I want to add. The last thing I want to add, but don't want to get into too much detail about because this video is already going on too long, is to add testing criteria for the crossbow itself into the weapon checking guide. Currently, it's actually lacking that. There's no wording on what the condition of the crossbow is, what are valid or invalid conditions of having a crossbow. So, whereas in a bow cannot be cracked, like there's no standard saying that a bow can or cannot be have its prod cracked or damaged in any way. That needs to be added to. I don't know. That's actually kind of an embarrassing oversight. Like that one, I actually want to fix. Because honestly, I like the current standard. I like the 450-inch pound standard. I don't want to reduce the poundage of my preferred weapon. I don't really get very many complaints on the battlefield. The reason I proposed a change in this video was to demonstrate that an actual solution could easily be come to that would really reduce complaints based on the experience of an actual crossbow user. Anyone putting any serious brain power into this would know that changing the standard to 5 foot didn't help anything at all. What did I write down? That it was at best stupid and at worst a practical ban. But banning crossbows is nothing new for Belegarth. Alrighty. If anyone wants to do it right now. Yeah. If anyone wants to take up or test or argue for or against my proposed changes, please let me know in the comment section or message me on my TikTok account. I'm not that popular, so I have time to read most of what gets sent my way. If you like seeing my dumb face get hit with crossbow bolts, please subscribe. I've been Psycho, babbling my nonsense. You missed my dick, asshole.
It's a small target.
Aquila Vala.